What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel, and it is Showdown Weekend, the first Season 2 Showdown Weekend, and I wanted to do something different. Everybody's going to log into Showdown, getting ready to play, and they're just going to jump in, but the thing is, I feel like many people make a mistake here. So, before you rush in, and you don't go over maybe what tactics you're going to bring in, what setup, what players you have, what players you could bring in, and what you've been doing right, what you've been doing wrong, right? Especially because the season just started, so it's kind of fresh for everybody. And I wouldn't say there were huge changes in the update, but there were definitely a few. So here's the deal. If you're a player that's like, I'm just going to have fun, I do not care about, all these glitches or exploits or really winning. I just want to go in and have fun, whatever rewards I get. Well, then you don't really have to listen too much to this. You could kind of loosely follow some of the things I'm saying. But for the most part, it just comes down to this. The way I've set up my team, defensively, I want to make sure I have plenty of coverage. 2 CDMs, not just CMs, CDMs, because if you're up and you're trying to hold a lead, your opponent is 1,000% going to put the pressure on and try to get the ball into the front of the box for either a finesse shot or a snapshot. Therefore, you need to have 2 CDMs when you're holding a lead. So I went with 4-2-3-1 narrow, 2 CDMs, obviously, and then the 3 cams are all dropped back, and even the strikers drop back. The reason I did that is because it is the best way to get the most players behind the ball. It's the same reason why, with the broken depth and everything like that, many of the ratty players choose 5-3-2, because 5 back has an extra body and 3 center mids, and they just hope you run into them. But 2 CDMs should allow you to defend properly, even under pressure, keeping those snapshots at bay and those finesse shots at bay. As far as my attacking formation, I'm going to skip my balance for a sec. My attacking, I go 4-2-4. The reason why, I want the most players near the opponent's goal. For that, I go constant pressure. And for the wingers, I have dropped back. Yes, they're going to run themselves ragged, but you're going to face those opponents who just try to keep the ball. You're going to face those opponents who are going to try to just clear it over and over and over and get it away from their goal, because they don't want you to set up and get a snapshot or finesse shot. Those are the 2 most prominent ways to score. And in a 4-2-4, you'll have 4 players that can work the ball left to right until you get a good opportunity for one of those 2, either a good finesse shot at a good angle, which is on either side of the half circle, the half arc, the top of the 18, whatever you want to call it, facing the far post. So if you're on the left side, you want to face that right side with your player, kind of diagonal. If you're on the right side, you want to face that left far post, kind of diagonal. Finesse shot, boom, it's going to be a goal a lot of the times. Same with a snapshot, but really with any angle. As long as you take a touch, then shoot. That's what a snapshot is, a second touch shot. First touch you set up, second touch you shoot. First touch is very powerful too, but I did notice those were missing way more often. It was very noticeable, way more often than snapshots. The goalkeeper would save them, or a lot of times they would actually go wide, those one-time shots. So if you can, try to get a snapshot, and then the 4-2-4, towards the end of the game, on constant pressure, you'll have a lot of players forward, and you'll have the best chance at winning the ball and trying to get back into the game. Now, last but not least, for my main formation, I will be going with the 4-3-3 attack. Yes, I wish it was more a 4-2-1-3, where I had 2 CDMs, a cam, and then, of course, the 2 wingers and a striker. However, there is no 4-2-1-3 in UFL, so this is the closest I can get. And honestly, with the 2 CMs instead of 2 CDMs, it's not the end of the world, and it's worth the sacrifice to have a cam, which is why I play this formation. So you just sometimes have to manually pull back both CMs, Camavinga for me and Chouameni for me, manually pull them back a little further than what you would have to do if they were CDMs and naturally in that deeper role. Now, why this is so worth it, though, with the cam is because through balls don't work from every angle. If they did, I would probably play a different formation. You have to have a bit of a diagonal going for a through ball to work. Otherwise, the through ball will lock onto the defender or lock onto your player's feet if you're lucky and not truly be a through ball. But if you get that angle perfectly, you can play some amazing balls that go right past the defender, perfectly timed onto your attacker's feet, and then go in on goal. If any of you have been watching my previous videos, you've seen many highlights of these already. And I am not talking about the glitched out lob through ball that everyone's playing that locks up your defense and is not skill at all. Players are using that because they can't break down a defense with skill, and that's what I'm going to get into after I go through this real quick to prepare you for the showdown. But if you want the best formation to play those through balls, to lock those in successfully on a consistent basis, this 4-3-3 attack is the way to go, because not only that, but you still have the ability to work the ball between your wingers and your striker, looking for that snapshot as the most high probability way to score right now, or even the finesse shot, cutting inside to a good angle with either winger or even your striker and your cam as well. Not to mention you can drop the ball off to him if your opponent's getting close to winning it and recycle and start the attack, and even change it up a bit. When that cam's not there, it's a little bit easier to predict your attack. You'll have players just camp out, and block out your strikers, essentially what you'll have. Then you're stuck just trying to cut in with your wingers going for a finesse shot, which is easy to read. With that cam, you can fake like you're cutting in for a finesse shot, play it to the cam, play it out the other side. You can do a 1-2 between your striker and your cam. And then, instead of continuing to do that 1-2, all of a sudden you can face out the other way and play it to a winger. There's just so much diversity between the cam, the striker, and the two wingers in the attack, so it definitely makes it worth it. Strongly suggest, if you're really looking for a identity with your team or a different setup to use, look at my 4-3-3 attack as far as the player settings, the player roles. Instead of going through all these with you, I'm just going to tell you this. Goalkeeper and back four are on the most defensive setup, whatever you want to call it. Your two CMs, just like I would have any two CDMs, whatever, it doesn't matter, the most defensive setup. And then your attackers. That is on personal preference. Let me explain. For my two wingers, I have them on attacking runs and balance. Some might have them on attacking runs and stay up front. I like my players coming a little closer to the ball to make it easier to play to them without the opposition trying to rush them, hunt them down and take the ball right off their feet, after they receive it. So I have them on attacking runs with balance. They'll come a little closer defensively and sometimes even put a little back pressure on the opponent. So that's personal preference, though. As far as my striker, he's on attacking runs, stay up front. I want him stretching out the opposition. Some might have him come short. And then in my cam, he is on the attacking runs and balance as well, because I want him in there almost like an anchor to the attack, right? Almost like a deep-lying playmaker, but to the front four. An actual deep-lying playmaker would be more like a Camavinga, and that's pretty much how I use them. But I want my cam ready to potentially make manually triggered runs past the striker. But typically speaking, he's sitting in there behind. For me, I have Chiesa right now until I get Ronaldo's skill point to put him at cam. And then we'll really look at what we're going to do. Chiesa's most likely going to be a super sub eventually. Just put it that way. I don't want to give up too much. But for now, he's my cam. But I really want him sitting behind Mbappe, Ronaldo, and now Yamal. That was a huge change that I made, getting Yamal. Originally I had Son. He got nerfed. So I got rid of him. And then, of course, I had Haaland. But here's the thing. With Haaland getting nerfed, he's not quite as OP. But he's still a beast, though. He is still a beast. I'll just say this. With the current meta, Mbappe doing his little cut in and cut out is huge. You have some players that solely rely on playing the ball to Mbappe and doing the little cut in and outs for a finesse shot. That's how powerful he is. And that's the last thing I wanted to go into. Just work on the roles. Let me know what you come up with. However, you have my thought process behind like the tactical setup, the formations. Then you can set up the roles accordingly. It's very easy. Back four and goalkeeper are the most defensive. Goalkeeper I always don't touch. Center backs I don't touch. Your two CMs or CDMs are always on most defensive, right? And then maybe that's personal preference. Maybe for instance, Camavinga, instead of manually pushing him up as a deep line playmaker, maybe you have him like support the attack or whatnot, right? And then my attackers are just what I told you. So moving on to the last part of this video to prepare you for your first Season 2 Showdown. This is where it gets tricky. And I will tell you my ultimate decision. When you're playing this game, you have to be aware of exploits. You have to be aware that there's some players that are going to solely use exploits. They could care less about playing football. They could care less about what it looks like, the way they play. It doesn't matter. They'll score a goal. They'll sit and hold the ball in the back. They'll play constant lob through balls, knowing that defense is going to lock up and not care. They just want to get that W any way possible. Even though there's crappier rewards, even though it's like, why would that be fun? We're trying to play a football game. Like, you know, if you want to win so bad, just let me know. I damn near give you the win, because it's a waste of time to sit there and do exploits to one another. I kind of showed it on a few of my videos. So you have to decide, are you just going to play regular football no matter what and then call it a day and not care if you get smoked by rats because they're willing to use exploits? Or are you going to get down and dirty with it and make these guys pay? I'm telling you, I had the initial, I'm just going to play football reaction, but you can only take so much playing these rats who you know you're better than, who you're outplaying, and then just not always getting rewarded accordingly. It's no holds barred now. I'm talking, you try to do something ratty to me, I'm going to be holding the ball in the back. You try to, do a lob through ball, broken lob through ball, I'm going to be zigzagging you with Mbappe till your head spins, right? Because you can't come into the game and guess. I might end up playing a very good opponent that just wants to play football, right? And then I might play an opponent that might look like that at first, right? But really, he's been trying to force exploits. I just didn't notice because he's so bad that it didn't come off. Next thing you know, he gets back into a game because all game I've been letting him off the hook, not going for any of these exploits I could have went for. He gets a lob through ball chance. Next thing you know, he plays it and scores a goal, and it's like, I just lost the result all because I tried to be nice to this player. Unfortunately, that's where the community's at. A vast majority of rats to where the good guys left are going to get punished. Simple as that. Meaning, if I'm outplaying you and I get a chance to cut you back and forth with Mbappe and finish it, I'm finishing it. If I get a chance to go lob through ball, even though I still don't even know how to do those all the way because I don't practice glitches or exploits like these other guys, but let's say I get a chance to do something like that and I knew how, I'm doing it. Point blank. That's just a forewarning because it's just far too frustrating with all the rats, and the players playing have to understand it's like you got to charge it to being someone who's putting your time into UFL. You're going to get ratted, and sometimes it's going to be from actual rats that are the cause of the problem, and other times it's going to be players that just are a product of the environment. Like, this is how players are playing, so here we go. Let's play like that. Do I think that's the best way to go with this game? Well, I think overall, if these things aren't removed, the game's going to keep going downhill with the exploits. However, the people have spoken. There's still a ton of people that watch UFL on this channel. There's still a ton of people that play this game and tolerate what's going on. Therefore, I'm going to tolerate it too, and I'm just going to charge it to the game. Like I said, this is what Strikers has given us. This is what the player base decided to latch onto, all these exploits. Let the games begin. When you take a skilled player and you start doing exploits, it can get pretty ugly. So strap in. You can see for yourselves what I'm talking about. Keep grinding, keep having fun. Hopefully this helps you go in with a different mindset, better prepared for this showdown, the first one of Season 2. Let me know in the comments section if this video helps you at all. Let me know what your thoughts are with this new patch, this new update, this new season. And if you're looking forward to Showdown, maybe you've already started, let me know how it's gone for you so far. Peace out.